Afternoon, everybody. Welcome. What time is it? 4:30 on Saturday evening. Bit dark already, bit wet outside. So I thought I'd just come on live just to remind everybody that if you're interested in joining the Academy, membership's open at the moment and it closes tomorrow night. I thought it was Sunday then, tomorrow night. So you've got a little bit of time, but not a lot. So I thought I'd just remind you. So stay tuned. I'll tell you a little bit more about the Academy in a moment. Afternoon. There you go. So the Academy, we've been open for, we said a few days, so we left it open for about a week because we opened up last week. So quite a few people joined, which is great. And you may recall I did the Full Frame Club. We did the opening for that just for Christmas, lots of new members there. So we're going to be busy in the coming months with Full Frame Club members who are setting up businesses or invigorating their existing businesses, as well as all the new members who've joined the Academy who just want to get more from their photography, learn more about it, and so on. Let's just check that little tick up there. Yeah, it looks like it's correct. So I thought, right, we'll go on live and let you know a little bit more about it. As I say, you'll see in the bottom here, this little thing here, ticking loss. You can save up to 50% at the moment. It's a bit nuts, I know, but hey, been a challenging year for some people, or for a lot of people actually. So let's get a few things sorted out. Let me put the website in because I know some people just want to get on with it. So you go to the website and you'll see that you can click on it. All the information is there, obviously, and then you can click on the Academy page. I'll spell this right, and it will take you to the membership selection part. Beyond the Lens Academy. Make sure I get this right because one of these is going to get it wrong. That's right. So you can tell if it comes up there. It looks right, doesn't it? Beyond the Lens Academy. Yeah. So if you go to the website and you click on it, there's a timer up there with a thing that's telling you it's running out tomorrow night and all the things. The reason we do it is because you'd be an amazing amount of people who sort of follow it and they see some of the webinars that I've done and all that. I did a couple earlier this week. And then they go, oh, I missed out. Sorry, it's Monday. Can I join? It's like, no, it's not fair. So don't miss out if you're thinking about it. That's why the timer's there. It makes it pretty obvious. And then we'll be closed for a good few months. I would think probably maybe longer than that because we've got a bunch of new full frame members who are looking to extract revenue from their photography. And sort of maybe even set up new businesses, as well as the new members who are joining this part of the Academy. So what about actually, here's a little video. This is what you'll see at the top. There you go. So you go to the website. That's what the website looks like at the moment. Well, that was a little while ago actually now. So it's probably 7 hours, one day, 7 hours or other. But that's what you're looking at. If you scroll down, you'll be able to see some more information about it. So what is the Academy? A good question. People ask me a lot. I'll tell you what it's not. It's not a place where you pay a monthly subscription or an annual subscription. Well, it is those two things. And you just get a bunch of lot of videos. Nothing wrong with those kind of sites. And there are plenty of them there. And you can get some good value from those sites. But they are what they are. You pay your money and then you've got access to content. We do that. We've been going for a couple of years now. The main difference, though, between us and quite a lot of the other sort of training academies out there, not just for photography, but just generally, is that we're a live organic business. And what I mean by that is that we have a live Facebook group. People are commenting and adding stuff in there all the time. But I hear you sort of saying, well, some people have got that as well. It's like, that's true. But we record new content every week. So last week we were doing a bit of a tidy up of the settings and the background and the infrastructure. So we didn't do any last week, actually. Did a couple of Facebook Lives and that was it. But so, for example, next week there'll be 3, 4, maybe even 5 new webinars, and they're recorded live. So if you join and you become a member, there's a smorgasbord, love that word, smorgasbord of content there for you to see already from previous recorded events. But there's new ones to look forward to the following week. So there'll be one on taking action shots. There'll be one on managing depth of field. There's always an editing one. There'll be one about getting organized. Hey, it is January. We've got to get our stuff sorted out, haven't we? And they're recorded live using this platform. So when people want to make comments, they can. If they can join them live, and they're scheduled, and there's little announcements that come out into your app, because we've got an app as well as the desktop thing that says, oh, there's a webinar on at midday on Thursday on subject of editing. And so if you come along live, then you can watch and interact live by putting comments in, and I'll put them on screen and answer them. But the best bit about it is, if you can't make it live, and not everybody can, then those are recorded. The whole sort of webinar is recorded as we go, and then they're uploaded into the academy normally within 24 hours, which is why I've done a bit of an update on the system, because it was taking a bit longer. So the content is new and refreshed all the time. That's the major difference, I would say. But why did I set it up? There's another thing that I get asked a lot. And the reason I set it up was that, I mean, I've been a photographer for 50, well, maybe not 50 years, I'm 58, so probably 40 years. A professional photographer for 6, and run lots of businesses in the interim. And what I found in my sort of journey with photography was, even when I was just sort of beginner amateur, just having fun with photography, was that there's lots of content available, but it's some on YouTube, some might be books, some might be courses that you buy. It's all very disjointed, and it's delivered by, as a result, different people who've got different training styles, different knowledge bases and stuff like that. And so I wanted to set up something that is like a soup to nuts, all things to all people, beginning to end. So the academy was born a couple of years ago, during the first sort of period of time when we weren't allowed to go out, shall we say? Not supposed to use the actual words on here. And it went nuts. It's brilliant, because if you're a beginner and you've just got your first camera, or you're thinking about getting your first camera and you want to understand about it and get some value out of it and start using it properly, then we'll do all that. That's all part of the academy. If you're somebody who's had a camera for a while and you're thinking about going, actually, I might change to mirrorless. Ooh, that's a subject of hot discussion at the moment. Which one should I get? Do I need to change? What are the benefits, and why would I think about doing that? What is a mirrorless versus a DSLR? Or you're sort of reasonably accomplished and you think, I really want to get my action shots of birds or wildlife better, or my portraits or my landscapes better. Well, I really want to sort of dive into editing. I've not done a lot of editing, and I really want to sort of get into Lightroom or Photoshop. All those things are all the kind of things we cover in the academy. You also will find that another big benefit of it is that we've got, because it's live and real, if that makes sense, there's the Facebook group where you can effectively get that sort of critical analysis, that feedback loop. So when you're out taking photos, as a lot of people do regularly, weekends and stuff, when it might be, they're not getting sort of people saying, that's a good image because, or that's a great image because. And so a lot of photographers have quite a low confidence level. So to give you a flavour of some of the things that are in there, I'm not going to go through all of it because it's all on the website. So if you've got a website that's in the comments below, you can sort of read it at your leisure, but don't take too long because it closes tomorrow. So obviously, direct message facility. So what that basically means is that I'm here doing these live broadcasts where people can interact. I'm in the Facebook group all the time, but I'm also available via message. So, and also one-to-one as well. So if, it is very good. There's the Facebook group. I touched on learning modules, but they are regularly added. We have a mobile app, so if you've got a smartphone, who hasn't these days? You can look it on there. I mentioned the fact that we do webinars weekly. We do new gear reviews, so when new stuff comes out, and let's face it, that's one of the things that us photographers do like. I'll be up there sort of talking about the pros and cons and stuff like that. This is very valuable. We do what's called a group image critique. So we've got running at the moment, which we're going to do next week, where we set a theme, and then and there's a part of the library where you log in that you'll see where you can upload an image, typically 2, one out of the camera, one edited if you edit, but don't worry if you don't. And they all get put together in a presentation, and I go live and go through those, typically of an evening, so more people can attend, and give people what's called critical analysis. So not just, that's a really good image because of X. The reason it's good is because you did this with the settings, or you did that with the settings. It might be the composition, it might be the depth of field, it might be the shutter speed, it might be the way you've edited. All those things, all part of it. We do live group edits. So, that's something that we do most weeks, where I'll pick up an image and I'll go through and show how I edit. And it's usually where I'm showing people specific elements of editing. So, for example, in Lightroom fairly recently, I'll say recently, last year, towards the end of last year, they updated it and added some new features called masking, which confused the hell out of a lot of people. So I did a few webinars about that, which is sort of debunked it for everybody, which is great. Now, let's have a look. So, the kind of things that people join the academy for, what is it that what's the most popular thing? So if I was to look at the beginner bit, and I'll just try and find, I've got some pictures here somewhere. Keep moving around. I must stop doing this because I get myself all lost. Where is it? There it is. This is probably the most popular thing. I touched on it just now. So getting off auto. And so, what does that entail? It's quite a lot, but it's very manageable. And so the first thing, let me show you the first thing that you're going to need to understand if you want to get off auto is this, the exposure triangle. So you'll need to understand ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. It's a bit like, and how that affects your image. It's a bit like saying, right, you're going to learn to drive now. You're getting out of an auto car, and you're now going to have a manual gear stick. So you need to understand gear stick, clutch, brake, and accelerator. Same sort of thing. And after a fairly short period of understanding and learning what those things are, it becomes second nature, which really improves your photography. So then you can start doing these sort of funky photos that are, have got really shallow depth of field like that one has, or require really fast shutter speed like this one, or this one, or this one. So that is, one of the most popular things that the people who are beginners are quite keen to understand. Editing is another one. So editing, where's my editing picture? Here it is. So editing is something that we spend quite a lot of time on. So here's an edit or an image that's not edited, and this is shot in RAW. So we'll go into the depth of what the difference between RAW and JPEG is. But here's a standard image out of a camera. You sort of think it's okay, it's not all that. Probably wouldn't keep it, but because I shoot it in RAW or shot that one in RAW and I edited it, that's what we end up with. So as you can see, sort of nice photo, very nice photo. So editing is a very big part of photography, as you probably already know. And we cover that most weeks in the academy because it's important. Now, you don't have to be using Lightroom or Photoshop. If you use Snapseed or Affinity Pro, one of the free ones, that's fine. The main thrust of what we're talking about is understanding editing and why you need to edit and the kind of things you can do when it comes to editing. When we are looking at, let's have a little look. What else have we got here? Depth of field is another one that people get confused with. That's the amount of the image that's acceptably sharp. So here's a couple of pictures. So as you can see in this one, most people think depth of field is affected by the aperture, which is these things. Look, in the top row here, the size of the hole in the lens. The bigger the number, the smaller the hole. And so the smaller the hole, the more you've got in focus. So you see the picture at the top there with the little chap in front of the mountain, all nice and sharp. f1.4 on the far right here, large aperture, loads of light, and just a bloke showing. And that's what you get here. Now, what you can see, of course, is whilst all these images are on the same composition, the depth of field is different, and that's because the aperture is changing. 3.5, 5.6, 10, and 22. To keep the exposure the same, the shutter speeds obviously have to be varied. But the image distance between the subject and the person taking it has remained the same. So aperture is what's affected depth of field. And that's getting these sort of shots. So like this, look, where I'm taking shots where the background is nice and blurred out. Another one there, look, very blurred out. And some people think, well, in order to get that, then I need these lenses that are 2.8, really expensive lenses, or 1.2, whatever it might be. And that does help, but it is not the be all and end all. So let me give you an example. Here, keeping the aperture the same, but just varying the zoom of the lens, we've got 70mm, 135mm, and 200mm. And you can see the depth of field has changed across these three images. And that is to say that your distance between you and the subject is also a significant factor. So if you've got a fairly basic lens, then you can still have a nice shallow depth field, just get closer. Who's this? This one. Know what that one is. Let's just hide that. We don't want people putting random things up, do we? So that's a good example of sort of managing depth of field. We'll also we often talk about action shots. So, getting things like this. And it's kind of partly about getting a fast shutter speed, but it's also about having the right focus settings. I personally like single point focus, but then I'm a DSLR user. It's about using a thing called exposure compensation. So I overexpose very slightly, called ETTI in wildlife photography terms, exposed to the right. That means you've just got your exposure set so the image is slightly brighter. And when you edit it, it means you get all the detail in the fur. Because if you want to avoid noise in an image, which is another thing that we talk a lot about, apart from doing the best to minimize that when you take the photograph in the first place, what you need to try and do, of course, is make sure you're not having to drag sliders to the right in Lightroom, for example, to bring out shadows or increase exposure, because that will add noise. So you don't want that. Long exposures and landscapes using filters, very, very popular amongst our amateurs and some of our beginners. Long exposures like this, like getting the sort of creamy effect of the water, nice sunsets like this one. Wildlife photography, as I said, that is very popular. Here's a little thing about noise. Look. what you do want, what you don't want, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here. I just thought I'd come along live, mainly just to let you know that the Academy is currently open for membership. Go to the website, you'll see this thing ticking away until midnight tomorrow night. And at the moment, you're able to join. And you can save, if you join annually, you save, I think it's 50%. I've put 50%, slightly more actually, I think. And that is a significant saving. We have a look. I won't go into the details. So if you want to pay monthly, you can do that. There's some saving on that, but the annual one is got some really, really good value on it. And so that closes tomorrow night. So all I wanted to do really was just come on live, just to make sure everybody realizes and remembers to let you know that tomorrow evening at midnight, we will be closed for some time because we've got a lot of new members we're going to work with. So have a lovely evening and weekend and stay safe and hopefully see you inside the Academy. See you later. Bye.